From beggar to foreign leader, he is Indian Prime Minister Modi. But before you rush to praise, he might be different from what you imagine. In 2014, as the campaign for the Indian Prime Minister was underway, an elderly woman with wrinkled face and white hair appeared before everyone. If the Prime Minister himself had not admitted it, no one would have associated this elderly woman, in her declining years, with the elegant and graceful First Lady. Her name is Jashodaben, the wife of the current Prime Minister Modi, hidden in marriage for half a century. Modi married her at the age of 18, but the two have spent less than 3 months together. Was it a case of infidelity or something more secretive? We have to start with Modi's experiences. The Modi family belongs to the lowest caste in India. They have lived for generations in the state of Gujarat, which is rich in seafood due to its proximity to the Persian Gulf. They had a small grocery store, which had been operated since the time of Modi's great-grandfather. They relied on this meager income to sustain their lives. Modi was born in 1950, the third child in the family of 6, but none of the children went to college. The whole family squeezed into a 45-square-meter tin-roofed house with no windows. They had to rely on kerosene lamps for lighting, and whenever they cooked meals with cow dung cakes, the entire house would be filled with smoke. Apart from eating and sleeping, space had to be made for a large container for storing water, cow dung cakes, and firewood. Modi's academic performance was average during his childhood, and he was shy and introverted but excelled in English. He loved reading and would spend a whole day at the town library. From that time, he developed an interest in studying social issues and, in addition, he was a staunch devotee of Hinduism, deeply devout. As a result, he would observe fasting twice a year, which later laid the foundation for his attitude towards Muslims after becoming Prime Minister. Modi's father's grocery stall was located at the town's train station, specializing in selling tea. Although it was a rare source of income, they were still considered low-caste people in the eyes of the upper-caste individuals. Modi's early life revolved around a small red tea stall. Every morning, he helped his father set up the stall before going to school. After school, he would rush back to help cope with the constant flow of customers at the train station. Those days were incredibly dull, except for enriching his extracurricular activities. At the age of 8, he became involved in an Indian Hindu organization called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. Soon, he joined the organization and got to know more people and learned more about social issues. After completing primary school, he told his father that he wanted to go to a military school for further studies. His father had no money and hoped that Modi would follow in his footsteps and become a tea vendor. As a result, he did not agree, but Modi, who was determined to change his fate, was unwilling to spend his whole life running a tea stall like his father. He had been feeling melancholic about it. When he turned 17, his father arranged for him to marry a girl he had been betrothed to since the age of 3, a 15-year-old girl from a neighboring village. This predetermined arrangement for his entire life infuriated Modi. He had a big argument with his father and, in a fit of anger, ran away from home. And so, at the age of 17, Modi left his hometown with a backpack, embarking on a long journey of wandering. He wandered for 2 years, completely forgetting about the poor young bride, Jashodaben, who had been married to him according to his parents' arrangement. However, his money ran out within 2 weeks of leaving, and he had to resort to begging to fill his stomach. He faced a lot of hardships and received many disdainful glances along the way. In his desperate moments, his resentment towards his father grew deeper in his heart. However, regardless of the circumstances, this period of wandering greatly helped Modi. Traveling thousands of miles broadened his horizons. During this journey, he became familiar with the culture of different states in India and gained a deeper understanding of the complexities of human nature. He regarded Hindu temples as his destinations along the journey, which further fueled his love for Hinduism. During his wandering days, the then Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi, was busy supporting Bangladesh. Modi would occasionally hear Indira Gandhi's name, little knowing that one day he would stand in the position she had once stood. After a long and arduous journey, he finally reached a temple at the foothills of the Himalayas, but to Modi's surprise, because of his low education, the temple refused to accommodate him. Not only this temple, but all the temples he admired refused to accept him. Helpless, he had to traverse half of India to return home. His mother was overjoyed to see him back, but his father showed no interest in him. There was nothing left for him at home except his mother. After spending one night at home, he set off again early the next day. He went to the town to find his former mentor and rejoin the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He then found a job as a dishwasher in a restaurant. 2 years later, his mentor wanted him to become a publicity officer for the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh and work full-time for the revolution. Without any hesitation, Modi quit his job and dedicated himself to the revolution. However, this so-called revolutionary work was nothing more than working in a different place as a dishwasher. At the age of 22, Modi's daily routine involved cleaning, washing toilets, and cooking. Modi, who thought he had no future, encountered his first turning point in life. His mentor saw his diligence and, through connections, arranged for him to become a part-time student at Delhi University. This provided him with an opportunity to study history and Sanskrit. Gradually, he no longer had to do laundry and cooking, but instead took on responsibilities for communication work, organizing meetings, and arranging schedules for leaders. This greatly honed his skills. Soon, he encountered his second turning point in life. In 1971, Gujarat state experienced a severe famine, which led to widespread civil unrest. The opposition, led by the Janata Party, started attacking the ruling party, the Indian National Congress. In December 1973, even the rent for school dormitories increased by 50%, and the riots spread to the streets of the cities. Many people joined the anti-government movement, and the opposition launched mass campaigns. Gujarat witnessed continuous riots, and 42 civilians were killed by the police during the unrest. The chief minister of Gujarat was forced to resign, and the turmoil continued until 1977, with the opposition briefly forming a government at one point but later being overthrown by Indira Gandhi. During this chaotic political struggle, Modi participated in several important organizational activities, benefiting greatly from them. To deliver messages, he constantly disguised himself as a Hindu monk or a Sikh, carrying documents and collecting donations in prisons and at temples. Through these activities, he gained recognition from influential figures and earned their trust. He was gradually promoted to the position of a publicity officer, laying a solid foundation for his future career. In 1980, some members of the Janata broke away to form a new political party called the Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP). Based on his past dedication to the Janata and his appointment by the National Volunteer Corps, Modi joined the BJP in 1985. Just a year before his entry into the party, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by her personal bodyguard, and the Indian National Congress began to decline. In 1988, Modi was appointed as the General Secretary of the BJP in Gujarat, marking his rise as a political elite and a rising star in Indian politics. Subsequently, he held various positions, including Chief Minister of Gujarat, and initiated reforms in areas such as water, energy, education, and security. Under his leadership, the literacy rate in Gujarat increased from 61.2% to 79.3%, and the literacy rate for women rose from 48.9% to 70.7%. Gujarat did not experience any further riots and attracted foreign investment from companies like Ford and Tata Motors. By 2011, Gujarat accounted for 16% of India's industrial output and 22% of its exports, making it the wealthiest state in India. In the 2014 general elections, Modi, riding on Gujarat's economic success, effortlessly defeated the weakened Indian National Congress and led the BJP to win 334 out of 543 seats in parliament, securing his position as the prime minister. India has long been plagued by corruption, with grassroots officials extorting protection fees from businesses and even police officers participating in such activities. This blatant corruption existed during parliamentary elections as well, with candidates spending an average of 150 million rupees to secure a seat. Politicians would seek donations from major corporations for their campaigns and then repay them once elected. However, Modi, being directly appointed by his superiors, did not owe any political favors and did not carry any burdens while in office. Additionally, coming from a humble background, he could better understand the suffering of the common people. As the Prime Minister, Modi enacted anti-corruption laws to strengthen governance and implemented demonetization, abolishing 500 and 1,000 rupee notes to combat corruption and illicit money. This move had dual benefits, as it brought hidden wealth into the banking system, providing a foundation for India's primarily property-based tax system. The demonetization process also brought personal wealth information into the national database, enhancing the government's control over taxation. As a result, the central government's expenditure on agriculture, healthcare, and job creation increased, and the employment rate improved. Modi's reforms are unique and decisive, and he never compromises on certain social issues. This has resulted in mixed evaluations of him. The conflicts between Hinduism and Islam have existed in India since ancient times. In 2002, when Modi was governing Gujarat state, there was a violent clash between Hindus and Muslims. 59 Hindus were burned to death, and in retaliation, Hindus launched a bloody three-day revenge against Muslims. Rampaging mobs killed pregnant women and mistreated children. This unrest resulted in the deaths of thousands of Muslims. Modi did nothing to intervene and even ordered senior police officers in a meeting not to obstruct the backlash of Hindus. As a devoted Hindu, Modi tacitly accepted the retaliatory actions of Hindus against Muslims. After becoming Prime Minister, Modi continued to adhere to the principle that everything should revolve around the core of Hinduism. According to him, Hinduism is the foundation of India, and he had no intention of gaining support from the other 200 million Muslims. This attitude has led countless Muslims to curse Modi at the mention of his name. Modi not only shows no mercy towards Muslims but also lacks compassion for his own family and fellow citizens. After assuming the position of Prime Minister, besides caring for his mother, he shows no concern for his father, siblings, and even his wife, whom he has been married to for many years. allowing her to live a secluded life in the countryside. In a recent year-end speech, Modi surprisingly proposed the idea of buying Indian-made everyday items instead of foreign-made products, urging the Indian people to use only Indian-manufactured goods. Not to mention that the machines used to produce these products are mostly imported from abroad, but due to the lockdown measures taken to control the pandemic, India's production activities have almost come to a standstill. Implementing such a drastic measure at this time is adding insult to injury, especially when faced with opposition from the people and a declining domestic economy. Despite these circumstances, he persists in advocating this absurd proposal. Throughout history, rulers of nations have often liked to consider themselves as isolated figures. This is a way to maintain calm and a helpless response to the coldness at the top. Perhaps for Modi, governing India during extraordinary times requires unconventional means. However, being calm does not mean being callous, and helplessness does not mean lacking compassion. As ancient Chinese wisdom says, a benevolent ruler makes the country invincible. A true enlightened leader is not numb to compassion, but someone who can bring peace to the nation while cultivating personal virtues and harmonizing the family.